Hey, it's TUC Talk, TUC Talk, TUC Talk. Welcome to Ep.4 of TUC Talk. And for those of you that have been rocking with us since day one, we appreciate you guys. And also for those of you that's here for the first time, thank you for tuning in. My name is Adele the Fashionista, current manager here at True Culture Magazine. And today I'm here alongside my panelists. I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves one by one, and then we'll just go from there. So, Donnie, my God, take it away.
Well, if you watched last week's episode, you already know who I am. If you subscribe to Out of Bounds, you already know who I am. Donnie, music and film and sports journalist for True Urban Culture.
Does it all. Jack of all trades, master of all of them.
Yeah, that's what I do, man.
Okay. Miss Amari Anderson.
Hey everybody, I'm Imari. I was on here like maybe an episode or two ago. I'm a designer here at True Urban Culture, freelance designer and a recent college grad. So
Yes.
Oh, congratulations.
Yes. And shout out to Amari for our logos, our intros. Like she's just been killing it. So everything that you see on the TUC Podcast Network is all thanks to this young lady right here. So shout out to you. And last but certainly not least, we got the controversial, but the man that always keep it 100, Mr. Kenny Santos.
Hi, I'm Kenny, yoga instructor and contributing writer amongst the birds right now. Hope everyone's having a good time.
As you guys know, our tradition here on TUC Talk, we like to do something that I like to call the mental check-in. Now, here on the mental check-in, it's all about, getting a gauge for everybody's mental, their mental stability, how they are mentally. So I always feel that the best ability is mental stability and having a strong state of mind. So, for those of you that's new here, here's our checklist on the mental check-in. One means I want to die. 2, my life is pointless. 3, nothing matters. 4, my life sucks right now. 5, it's forever. 6, I'm content. 7, I'm grateful. 8, I'm in a good place. 9, I'm excited about life. And 10, things couldn't be better. So, with that said, I'm going to present it to my panel here. How's everybody feeling on a scale of 1 to 10 this week?
Well, let me start by saying I feel great. You want to know why? Because the Sixers are in the playoffs. We play in under the hour.
Yeah. You was kind of nervous about them on the last episode, Out of Bounds. Like, you was kind of hedging your bets a little bit. So you
Yeah, but
more confident
now we're matched up with Wizards, and it's game over. They have nobody on that court that's going to stop Joel Embiid. Let's just leave it right there.
Okay. So on the scale of 1 to 10, how confident? Well, not so much as scale of 10 in regards to the Philadelphia 76, but it seems like they got you in a good mood. So scale of 1 to 10, like where you at right now?
I would say 8. I went for an early jog this morning all the way to the Philadelphia Art Museum. Grabbed the water on the way back and watched the sunrise, So I feel grateful.
I'm glad to hear, because for those of you that didn't check us out last week, or if you're just new here discovering us for the first time, by the way, please like this video, share this video if you're enjoying the conversation so far. Please subscribe to the channel as it helps us out with the YouTube algorithm. But last week, Mr. Donovan was at a 3, so the fact that he jumped up 5 points this week, I'm very happy.
Yeah. that Childish Gambino album was having me in a weird place. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like the type of content that you consume that could really play a big emphasis on, your mental health and your state of mind. So I'm glad you're in a good place right now.
So for me, I would say I'm about an 8 right now. I'm usually at an 8. I mean, nothing drastic has like happened in my life to like put me down or like put me above an 8 really. Something exciting that happened for me. We recently had a flea market here in town. And where I'm from in Jackson, like the flea markets are like terrible. But here they had like a whole like horror collection. And I'm a big A Nightmare on Elm Street fan. And so like I scored a Supreme replica of his glove. So that was pretty exciting. So
Gotcha.
Wait, I'm sorry. Like, it's the summer and you guys are having a horror festival.
I
Flea
mean,
market?
it wasn't a horror festival. It was just a flea market, but there was like a bunch of everything there, and there was like this
Oh, okay.
table of like just horror like paraphernalia. So
Okay.
Okay, when you say Jackson, which area are you referring to? Jackson, Tennessee?
yeah, Jackson, Tennessee. It's a shitty small place.
Always want to go to Tennessee.
Don't go to Jackson. Don't go to Jackson. don't go. It's like right in the middle of Nashville and Memphis. So like just
Is it true that they have like the best like fried chicken? Or am I thinking of someplace else?
Are you talking about Jackson or like Tennessee?
Tennessee.
I would say barbecue.
How do
But, I
places
mean-
get titles? How do places get titles like that? Is there like a contest? Do people like go from state to state checking out the best fried chicken? Do they like present
Well,
it somewhere?
I know for
How
Philadelphia,
does a restaurant
we
or
got
like
the
a place
title
get the
for
audacity?
we got the title for cheesesteaks because
Yeah.
cheesesteaks originally
Really?
were founded here, and we just have the best cheesesteaks all around. I mean, you can go to Denver and you can get a
Yeah, but
cheesesteak on
how
the
do-
menu that says Philly cheesesteak.
But how do you logically test that out? Like, I'd understand if like Florida said we have the best crack addicts. Like, then yeah, I would not dispute that. But like when it comes to sandwiches, it's like do you have like a guy who goes from city to city testing the same kind
Oh,
of
you
sandwich?
like does the mayor
I
like
know it
call
was
up
made
the
there,
guy
but
and be like,
I
"Hey,
don't know.
we got this city proclaiming that they have the best sandwiches. Let's go check it out." Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, but it's
check
a
out
fun fact.
we're
My
gonna
bad.
they
Really?
here and they're like, forget our infrastructure. I want to fly you out to test this sandwich.
Man, that crackheads. I'm still stuck on that.
I wouldn't say that it's a staple in Jackson, but we're the only manufacturer of Pringles chips. So like whenever you have a
Really?
can of Pringles, yeah, like look at the back of it and it says Jackson, Tennessee. So yeah.
Ooh, interesting.
Interesting. Wow.
Very interesting. Well, I know here in New York, we're supposed
Are they
to have
the
the
best
cheesesteak.
Pringles chips?
I mean, the process of making Pringles isn't that glamorous, so yeah, it's pretty sludgy.
Oh,
at
did you take a
first. It's like
did you take a tour of the facility or something?
no, I've known people who have worked at the facility back
Oh,
home,
okay.
and it's not glamorous at all.
Interesting, but I'm glad to hear that everybody's at a good place this week. Same also holds true for me. I'm also at a good place. But life is good, opportunities are on the horizon, and most of like when one door closes, that means another one's about to open, so hint at the future. But yeah. All right, so guys, so let's get into it. So as far as with our first topic for today. Now, Kendall Jenner has been in the news for quite a lot of wrong reasons lately. And I'm not the type of person to judge a person's intentions. But I feel like after a while, when your intentions start to become misconstrued, as dumb as you said on camera, it's about time to start looking into your, start looking into your management team and your PR. So, Mr. Wilkinson, this is the topic that you proposed for us for this week. Can you tell us about our audience that's unaware about what has gotten Kendall Jenner into trouble this week?
Well, she recently was promoting, I believe it's her tequila brand. Apparently, every pop star now has knowledge of making tequila and something like that. Last I heard, Tom Holland was in on it. The Rock was in on it, and a couple other people. But Kendall Jenner released an ad that was in bad taste to the south of the border people, I want to say. And it came off just tone deaf and just not leaving a good taste in anybody's mouth. So she's been getting backlash for that.
Okay, but in terms of like, because this is not the first time, right? So this has been like a long running history of her doing this at this point. Because there's also
Yeah.
this commercial that came out a couple of years back, right?
Yeah, so if anybody who could forget about her Pepsi commercial where she was at a photo shoot and there's like protests going on around her and she like leaves the photo shoot, somebody hands her a Pepsi and she's now suddenly walking down the street in front being almost the white savior of the protests marching towards the police. She hands the police a can of soda and suddenly everybody's problem is forgotten and everybody's dancing in the street drinking coke and like I don't know what else to say.
Pepsi Cola.
Pepsi. It was
Pepsi
Pepsi.
Cola.
Yeah, well, we spoke about Pepsi last week.
Coke had nothing to do with this.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's make that clear. Yeah, Coke had nothing to do with this.
it's all Pepsi. Okay, so with Kendall Jenner, like everybody, it's not. First of all, it's not just Kendall. The whole Kardashian Jenner clan has always been accused of like cultural appropriation, whether it's do plastic surgery or the men that they date or their business ventures. So, with you guys, like, what do you feel like? When does cultural appropriation go a bit too far?
I think the line between cultural
Uh,
appropriation and appreciation, it really comes from, is there a true love and care behind the culture that you're kind of like picking off of? And I feel like for the Kardashians, they just see POC and Black culture as just a commodity for them and as a costume that they can just put on and take off. If it's not benefiting them, they're not gonna like go for it. I'm pretty sure that with this tequila brand, like people are gonna buy into it more than they would an actual Mexican or indigenous tequila owned brand. So that's my opinion on that. I just feel like they're the front runners of cultural appropriation. They don't really appreciate the culture. They just commodify off of it.
Yeah, and also getting back to the ad, it's like the whole get up with the white beard, the hat, and everything. It's just like
Right.
it's almost like you kind of
Yeah, her whole outfit was just while on a horse, it just screams like she was trying to be like part of that like area, like that culture. Yeah, it just wasn't it.
They feel like a
you
mockery.
you mean the south of the
Yeah.
border people, right?
Yeah.
yeah. So Kenny, where do you stand on this? Like when does cultural appropriation go too far for somebody such as yourself? Because you are a man of Latino origin, So where do you stand on this?
I am a Latin king, but not the gang. In any case,
New
by the way,
York
I think I'm
reference.
lagging. So if you hear my voice like 5 seconds after I speak, it's not because I'm interrupting you. I'm just lagging, but whatever. But in any case, my take on it is just when you're I don't know, because I don't really care about the whole cultural appropriation thing. I just care about like the Kardashian and Jenners thinking that I date black guys and I love POCs and they're all my best friends. That I have to be their guardian and I have to be on every single issue and I have to make it all about me. Like Kim
Yeah.
Kardashian, like basically trying to who had no business probably being freed because they had quite a rap sheet. And in any case, some of them I'm sure were deserving of bailing. But I just have no idea what the Kardashians are doing, like freaking petitioning Trump or why they have that much clout. But as far as Kendall Jenner goes, Kendall Jenner and Kylie Jenner are two people that needed homeschooling their entire life and weren't really able to formalize education. So I don't hold it above them about not making any sort of good choices. So I blame their team because they're just a bunch of pretty mannequins that just get told what to do all day. But in any case, when it comes to that, it's not the cultural appropriation. It's just that when rich people invest in tequila, they're investing in the agave fruit, I think it's called, or like a flower. Basically, when they invest in it, the price goes up for the rest of the market because there's a short supply on it, making it really hard for actual, of the border people to start their own tequila brands or work in their own industry. So it's really kind of insensitive of her because she really doesn't need the money and she really shouldn't associate herself with liquor because she's already kind of a degenerate.
Okay. Okay.
Trend of celebrities just investing in tequila and brands and stuff like that. Like I said, the next well-known actor that I know that's investing in tequila would be The Rock. And it just seems like it's just going to get like bigger and bigger.
So, do you feel like these big time celebrities are kind of cutting the line in a sense from like
And then
people
like
that
Harry
really are
Styles do a tequila.
Right, Harry Styles, yeah.
okay? So you feel like they're kind of like cutting the line from like people that have genuine interest in like starting up their own tequila brand, winery, or whatever the case may be.
Yes, I think so. I mean, on one hand, they do give that company and those makers of the tequila
Yeah.
like notoriety and like publicity and stuff like that. But on the other side of it, yes, I do believe they're like cutting a line and just like cashing in where they can and just like stepping out.
Okay. All right. Well, like I said, I don't particularly know Kendall Jenner's intentions, but I could, but also at the same time, this ain't the first time. You know, this ain't the first time she got caught in controversy, and it seems like her camp lacks self awareness when it comes down to these things. So I definitely agree that it's like she doesn't necessarily need the money, but I don't know. I guess you gotta do something to stay in the limelight, you know. So whatever keeps your name in the conversation. So
Yeah, I think what Kenny said, overall, just to close it out, you got to take a look at your team. Like you got to look at who you surround yourself with and who handles your business deals and image and stuff like that. You got to do better. I mean, it might have been nice and passive when you were young, be like, "Oh, she's just young. She's not really well known in the business and stuff like that." But now you guys are like pushing 30. It's time to like take
well,
control
no,
and take inventory.
Kendall's not close to 30 just yet.
They're 30 in my eyes.
She's not close to 30.
Or let's say you're pushing like that age where you know right from wrong and you know who you deal
Right.
around, stuff like that. Like take some inventory of your life and your team.
Right. Okay. So, well, speaking of taking inventory over one's life, Miss Demi Lovato has been in the news lately. One, she has
Oh
an
God,
upcoming
this
reality
girl.
show where she's in the search of like extraterrestrial beings, and also she just recently came out as non-binary. Now, before we just open up the topic, you kind of snuggered at the thought of Demi Lovato. So, where do you stand on Demi? Do you feel like she's like? How do you assess her currently at this
See,
point in
here's the
time?
thing I have with Demi Lovato. Every time I see her name or see her image trending, it's always because of controversy. She hasn't been known for good deeds since she left Disney Channel. And every time I see her trending on Twitter, I'm like, oh, what did Demi do now? And sure enough, she did something.
Well, sorry to cut you off. It seems like nobody has ever done any good deeds after they leave Disney Channel.
Yeah, Disney is toxic, man. Like it's
Something
toxic.
about those
Every
names.
Disney like child has like gone through some type of trauma and then turned into like a slut or alcoholic or like a drug fiend. It's a lineage of Disney kids.
Yeah.
Okay, but where do we stand on her just recently making like a big announcement on Twitter about her being non-binary? Now, so far, she's getting like a lot of great press in regards to it because I've been hearing some actresses coming out saying that she's gonna save a bunch of lives and things of the nature. But do you feel celebrities such as Demi Lovato or anyone that's supposed to be representing, like the everyday person, do you feel like their intentions are pure? Or do you feel like it's just a way for them just to just get headlines, so to speak? Keep their name in conversations. Do you feel like being I guess advocate, so to speak, is more of a trend as more than these people actually do have genuine intentions when they come out with these type of press headlines about themselves.
I just feel like it's performative activism, and there's this huge trend of like celebrities either coming out as like non-binary or like saying like we stand with you, and I feel like it's a bunch of pandering. At this point, I feel like celebrities are like politicians in a way because they basically do the same exact thing. Now, as far as Demi Lovato goes, I don't follow her. I haven't really looked into her since the episode Demi Lovato video game, pretty much. but, but as far as like what you guys are saying, it does seem like whenever I hop on Twitter, it's something new about Demi. Now, if this is a mental breakdown that we're seeing before our eyes, it's very possible that this is like a mental breakdown or some shit. But
Are we up to
what do
Demi?
we
Oh my
expect
god.
from Disney kids? Yeah, we're on Demi right now.
Yay.
Welcome back, Kenny.
Yes. Sorry, I'm sponsored by Metro PCS, owned by T-Mobile, also known as T-Maybe. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't.
Shout out for that sponsor. You know, we're not really actually sponsored.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Donovan's gone.
So I guess he's on Metro PCS too.
Okay. Sorry, am I up for Demi Lovato now?
Well, before we get to Amari, did you have any more to add to your thoughts on Demi?
Yeah, I pretty much wrapped it up with the fact that, I mean, she could be having a mental breakdown and we're just witnessing it. I mean, she's always in the news for something, just like Donovan said. So I can't really say if it's sincere or if it's just a mental breakdown at this point.
Okay. Now, Kenny, you're up.
Yeah, I know we're talking about Demi because I brought up that joke about her new pronouns and whatnot. But, you know, I kind of feel for her because she's part of this environment of like child actors that very much went through trauma working for Disney, working for Nickelodeon. I think they're bringing back iCarly, and the girl who played Sam isn't coming back because she might have been, I think, don't quote me on this, but I think she was sexually abused by like the guy who wrote the show or like produced it or filmed it, whatever. I forget his name. And like that's actually like very common in the industry, even for children. Like I wrote an article about like casting couch culture for Talk that touches upon it a bit. So like she was definitely like forced into the starlight for, you know, all the pressure that comes with like stardom when you're a kid and don't have the aren't developed enough to know how to handle it maturely. Especially the backstage stuff that must be going on, like your parents pimping you out to producers for good roles and everything. So on top of that, she's also a heroin addict, and you know, I know she had that big OD mess.
A recovering heroin addict, though.
Yeah, that's the thing about being an addict. Like 1, 2, 3 years without heroin is really like a blink of the eye for a drug addict. So they could very easily relapse. Like 3 years could have passed since their last hit, and it could have felt like a week. They'll still have that urge to do it. So I'm not sure she's fully recovered. I know she went to rehab because she can afford it, unlike normal people. But does it have any effect? Well, we'll see. We'll see, obviously. But when you're an addict, it's always the urge will always be in you, and she has that on top of all her previous trauma. And I guess she's just really used to being in the starlight and needs the attention back. So, like you guys said, she's on Twitter talking about her pronouns. She's like, when DMX died, she was like, "This could have been me," and everyone was like, "Don't." Oh, yeah. What? Why are you guys
so
like this?
Sensitive.
What? It's like, why are you like this? But
I ain't catch that.
No. When DMX died, she I think on Twitter was like, "Oh, this could have been me," and I'm just like, "Shut up! This isn't about you." I get you need all this attention and shit, but like, you're making every high profile topic about you when you're not really doing anything productive anymore. You're not releasing music. You're not in movies anymore. You're just kind of just bringing attention through controversy, which you should be above by now if you had gone through like the kind of internal work that one goes through when recovering from drugs and whatever else trauma you're going through.
The problem I have about her with using recovering, because I use that lightly, I remember in her documentary she said that she still drinks or smokes weed, I believe. It's this new method that's like popular in LA amongst addicts, where they still partake in little like soft drugs or substances and stuff like that. But yeah, I it's a slippery slope. But yeah, to use recovering when you're like still like doing stuff like that is just like you're just
Yeah,
lifting.
and they probably
Bills.
got the idea from the mental health industry because I don't know if they do it anymore, but for a long time, like addicts would be giving methadone to help them come off the really serious drugs, and I'm like, they're all opioids. You're still getting them addicted just to something else. So I think that's where the mentality came from, and they want to take a step down. Okay, well, I'll just drink a lot and smoke a lot of weed, and that'll make up for it, and I definitely won't die in a car crash or something. But like, yeah,
Right.
LA is really not the society we should be looking to in terms of recovery.
Right. But in terms of Demi as a whole, do you guys feel like she likes to play the victim in the media whenever like she gets like backlash in regards to like her comments? Like for instance, the whole DMX comment with Kenny, as you said, like she kind of made his death all about her, saying that that could have been her. So do you guys feel like she kind of like always had that "woe with me" type of mentality?
I mean, what she said about DMX was like insensitive and like
Really?
uncalled for. Like that made absolutely no sense. So, as far as her being a victim, she is a victim, but there's a point where you have to like gain control back. You know what I mean? You have to actually like gain ownership over yourself and then realize, okay, I need to stop doing this because part of what you guys are saying kind of sounds a little bit narcissistic. It kind of sounds like that trauma is coming up, and it kind of sounds like a little lost girl that's begging for attention. And so everything probably does like more than likely does stem back to Disney. Now, whether or not she uses it as a way to stay on top of the charts, I would have to look at her PR team or like who's around her because you guys see that she's like lashing out or that she's begging for attention. What are you guys doing to compensate and to help her to overcome the things that she's been through already?
Well, I definitely know that, especially like people that are, like very high profile, especially in Demi's case, like she's a child star. She started out very young. But knowing what typically happens is that these people, they kind of, as you said, Amar, like she needs to, at the kind of point in time, you need to start taking self control over your own life. But
Yeah.
nowadays, it's unfortunate, but nowadays, being a victim and always claiming to be the victim, that's what mostly gets you the headlines nowadays, rather than taking control over your own life. It also doesn't help that she may have like a lot of yes people around her. Because it does come across as narcissism, but when you're a child star and you came up in Hollywood, there comes a point in time where you start to develop some sense of narcissism. Feel like, oh, like it's about me, because that's all you know throughout your whole adolescent going into your adult life.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys want to look back at the incident where she really received the most backlash was going after a mom and pop small ice cream shop. Apparently, she says she was triggered that they were promoting diet when in reality it was an ice cream shop that was tailored to people who are like lactose intolerant or like have trouble like with bowels and stuff like that. So it was a healthy alternative to people who have like issues with their bodies and stuff like that. But she went on this rant and posted an Instagram story talking about this place needs to like be shut down. Like she wants to make sure like they never work in this business again. And this was all in LA. And it was such a funny scenario. And then she like later apologized.
That was hilarious.
And, yeah,
That probably got them more customers too. Like if Demi
right,
Lovato
yeah,
wants to
exactly.
cancel, I'm going to that ice cream shop. Are you kidding me? Sounds delicious.
Yeah, and she tried to like get in front of like being like this movement or change or something. This is the problem I have with celebrities. They want to be the leader so bad, and none of them are role models at all.
Or competent,
So
or
it's just-
educated, or intelligent.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
useful,
exactly.
Or I could go on.
Yeah, so it's just like that was like one of the reasons why it's like I see her as this victim mentality that she hasn't yet seemed to break.
She hasn't grown up. That's the problem. And
Yeah.
it's funny because her feelings about that, because apparently I think she did have like an eating disorder at one time because she was so hyper focused on her self image, and now she's probably trying to jump on that fat shaming train. Apparently, it's not the latest form of victimhood, but like people who are overweight find that society fat shames them by constantly, promoting skinny or in shape looking people.
But that's
And
what's
like,
starting to change now, though.
what was that?
That's what's starting to change now, though.
I know, yeah, like you'll have people who are like clinically obese on like magazines, and I use this in the medical term, like not to poke fun at them. Like, if you're over a certain weight for your height, your age, sometimes your ethnicity and race also play a role in it.
Oh,
Like,
BMI.
because yeah, and the BMI isn't really too good because yeah, like huge weightlifters are technically obese, and I'm like they're the healthiest human beings you could see. But like there are a lot of factors that go into it, and it's like but like you can pretty much tell when someone is overweight and it is unhealthy, and she's trying to jump aboard this train of like, oh, we should just accept them as they are. Like, yeah, don't bully them, but also don't
Yeah.
push the behavior because they're killing themselves.
I agree with that. But it's unfortunate that you cannot call people out on these type of things because then, well, you're just being a bully or you're anti this or
You're fat phobic, which
yeah,
is the thing, man.
you know
I'm not
how.
afraid of
Yeah.
them. I'm afraid for them.
But before we transition to our next topic, like, what do you think as far as her coming out as non-binary and it being said that it's gonna help so many young people like her? You know that Demi is supposedly gonna save a lot of lives with her announcement.
I don't know if she's telling the truth. That's like I don't know if she ever went through like this whole gender struggle. I think it's just a attention thing. Like I'm gonna tell my views on the whole non-binary thing because they'll label ignorant. But okay, there are people out there who don't want to identify with the previously traditionally established dual gender thing. Okay, sure, live your life, man. It does not affect me, whatever. But like she just sees it as a hot topic that like gets people talking and like what if I do that. Maybe it is genuine and she did struggle with being identified as a woman her entire life, even though she's what, like almost 30 now, and this has been around for a decade and she just said it's kind of weird. So yeah, I just don't know if it's like virtuous or true. And again, I do have problems with the whole Latinx, the whole gender neutral binary, whatever thing. But like, just focusing on Demi, I just think it's a call for help and attention.
Okay.
Yeah. I want to follow the same point. Yeah, for anybody who's binary or whatever, like I support you and stuff like that, and I'm pretty sure we all do. But in Demi Lovato's case, I don't think she's telling the truth. If I'm not mistaken, maybe last year or 2 years ago, she came out as poly, I believe, or she was a lesbian, I think.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
Yeah, I remember her saying that she was like something else. So I don't know. It's just weird that she drops a podcast recently this year. And she drops a documentary, and now she's like once again back in the headlines and stuff like that. Like anything that comes out of Demi Lovato's mouth, I believe is the work of
Satan,
a jester, or Satan, or anything. Like I don't believe her. Like if she told me that the clouds were white, I wouldn't believe her. That's she just screams lie.
I guess I could call BS on this as well because she's never really struck me as someone that's gender fluid. Like she's always looked present herself to be very feminine.
Honestly,
so I don't know. It's kind of weird.
She's been choosing very feminine outfits, if I'm not mistaken, since her Camp Rock days. I mean, I assume she chooses her own clothes.
Right. But do you guys feel like this trend of people coming out as non-binary, do you feel like this is the start of us as a society getting rid of gender roles?
No.
No.
because they're like a minority of the population. People forget this. Like, I hate it when like a lot of conservative pundits are like, "Oh, transgenders, binary genders, LGBT, blah blah blah, whatever, are taking over society." And I'm like, yeah, bro, they're like 2-3% of all human population. Really, it's not really that big a number. It's just that they get so much spotlight and media attention that you think a lot of people are doing this, but not really. It's not really like a big phenomenon. It's a heavily publicized phenomenon, but like demographically wise, it's like, yeah,
Okay, but do we still need gender roles? How about that?
sure. I mean, some people are happy being in gender roles. They're 100%. They said, "Oh yeah, no, I fit these. I'm the most stereotypical man, or I'm the most stereotypical woman." There are ebbs and flows. Like tomboys exist, girly guys exist, but they still identify as male and female.
Okay.
I
What are your
feel like
pronouns?
um I mean, in what way do you mean? Like, are you talking about like as far as like wages, or as far as like how women are seen in society? Like, in what way are we talking about
Okay,
gender roles?
so I know it's very broad, right? So I'm glad you
Yeah.
asked the question. In terms of like wages, also how women are seen in society, and also in terms of relationships as well. 'Cause I feel that's the most
Dating
important aspect of it.
etiquette, stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Okay. Well, first off, there seems to be like this huge movement of like this high value man and this uber
Shout out
like
to Kevin
feminine,
Samuels.
this like Kevin Samuels, and then like this like overtly feminine woman that I feel like is just like BS, and it's not attainable or achievable. And I feel like it depends on you as a person. Like, who am I to say like if you're high value if you make this much, or if you're not feminine if you don't like dress or look a certain way? As far as in relationships, for me personally, I would like to feel like the man is leading. I would like to feel like I'm more of the nurturer and he's more of the protector. As far as if I can say if that should be the way of the world, it depends on you, in my opinion. I feel like people and men often, I know there's a lot of guys on the panel only, but I feel like often men kind of put their own assumptions as to what a woman should be when it hasn't always been that way. Like, we can say like it has always been like to where the guy has been here and the girl is here. But in some like societies, it's kind of almost been equal in a way. It hasn't been most recently until maybe like European invasion that it was kind of pushed downward in a way. It was usually like equals, but the man was seen as the provider and the woman as the nurturer. So yeah, I know that was all over the place.
No, it's fine. It's
Uh,
fine.
I mean, well, to ask another question, do you think women put expectations on men? Likewise?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think women put expectations on men all the time. I feel like today in modern society, the biggest expectation is like pay wage and like how much you're making. I feel like now people are using money as a way to determine masculinity. And I think that's also kind of what hinders when we go into conversations about educated women, not being as likely to get married because, they'll make more money. And then a guy may, if he's into the mainstream idea of what being a man is, then he may feel kind of like emasculated and not want to take on a woman like that because he wants to feel like he's the breadwinner in a way. So I feel like money is the biggest culprit when it comes to women saying what a man is, when really women shouldn't have a say in what a man is because you're not a man. But then that goes into like gender roles and what you identify as.
I'm glad you brought that up because I would say this. No, as a man, I see like just three men on the panel, but this is my own personal interpretation of this. I feel like the whole because it's supposed to be the number one, two most important thing that men's supposed to do is to be able to protect and provide.
Mhm.
Now, back in the day, back during the society where we did not have money, where we basically just lived the trade off of a barter system, men had to hunt for food and also basically build the civilization, the houses, in the case may be. Now we don't necessarily do that anymore, especially you live in like more urban areas, cities. Now it's all about okay, well, this man has to have a business, or this man has to make a lot of money. So I feel like it's not so much as money determining masculinity for a man per se, but I feel it's just where money nowadays symbolizes. It's about that man can protect his family and he can provide for his family. So I think that's what it is, and why so many men put so much emphasis on money, because back during the old times, women, like you said, it's all about being like a nurturer, and stuff of that nature. So women back then, especially like during like my grandmother's time, what case may be, all they had to do was just stay home, take care of the kids, cook, clean. But nowadays, since the cost of living is drastically different now compared to back then. Now we see more women going to college. Women make up the majority, especially black women make up the majority in minority communities in terms of college graduates, and top earners. So I feel like, in a sense, like it's kind of turned a little bit, but I feel like us, it, Donovan and Kenny, feel free to like disagree or,
Yeah,
or chime in. But I feel like now it's kind of like a threat to see women up at there, making so much money. Because now it's like, well, now I don't need you no more. Because look, I could take care of my own stuff. So like, what can
that's.
you do for me that I can't already do?
I want to push back on the money thing though, because I've never met a broke man who could, project himself as a thug. Probably have probably
New
has
York,
no
though.
education. New York, so someone's always honking. But I've met no man who is broke, has a pretty crappy job, has no education, maybe doesn't even dress that well all the time, and has does not pursue bettering himself in terms of like um, monetary excellence. I've never met that person that doesn't also have an excess of like 5 or 6 women he constantly calls on, like as if he were a womanizer, if he were like James Bond or something, and he wears like a wife beater and jeans everywhere and works in construction. So I don't think money plays an important role. And I'm not trying to put down anyone, but like I feel like it's the projection of value of your over yourself. Like those guys think they're the shit. They think they are God's gift to earth. Like forget Jesus, let's talk about me. But like they just project this like self-confidence and self-value. It doesn't really matter where they are in life, and they're able to get high, so-called quote unquote high value sexual or romantic partners, no problem. I know someone personally who is a 40-year-old bum, and he gets Wall Street executive women all the time when they pay for his Gucci belts and everything. And I'm like, what's going on? And these women are on the top pay scale of society, and he is able to basically acquire them no problem. And it works the other way around too. I'm not saying that all women have fallen for this like alpha male projection. Like there are women who offer really nothing to society, maybe work like at 7-Eleven, and they have like 5 or 6 guys that you can call on anytime who will buy them everything and whatnot. So it's really just this projection of, do I value myself? It doesn't have to be on reality. But if I present myself as someone who can take care of himself, someone who values themselves, someone who has more confidence than there is money on earth, they will always attract the quote unquote high value mate, pretty much. It's really just all a bluff game. Like if you're good at poker, you're probably good at sleeping with people.
We're gonna use that sound, but
Yeah,
I'm
go
pretty
for it,
decent
man.
at
Like,
poker, but
yeah, like if you're a good poker player, if you're good at bluffing, if you're able to keep this image of yourself, you will not find a lack of partners, no
so
matter how
basically,
shitty you are.
it's all about just projecting a great image rather than actually
Essentially.
being a part.
And usually they believe it. It's a
yeah,
complete illusion.
fake it
That's
till
why
you
drug
make it,
dealers,
I guess.
yeah, like drug dealers, complete losers, but romantically great. They're better than me probably.
The Pookies and the Ray Rays.
Yes, they just consistently get it. They just consistently get it. I don't know why, but it works.
Hey,
Me too.
okay, Don, you want to chime in a bit on that?
um, I don't think I have really much to add that Amari and Kenny hasn't already touched on. Personally, I think mine stemmed from dating and stuff like that. A guy expecting to handle the check and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm still on the fence about gender roles and what they bring and impact in our society. But I feel like everybody should be treated equally. I mean, I don't see the need for gender roles anymore. I think. I mean, I feel like anybody who's anybody can protect themselves, and you shouldn't need a man, or you shouldn't need a woman for certain responsibilities. I think.
I mean, that does sound all well and good. In a perfect society, maybe that could
Yeah.
possibly be true. But society has taught us so far, especially and throughout our area, like the media, that it's all smoke and mirrors. Like, yes, we project
Yeah.
that. Like, okay, like cool. Like, it's like women, they could be proud and boastful about their sexuality, how much money they make. But whenever something happens, it's always like the whole slogan: "Protect Black women," things like that. Because you have some now for like I'm not trying. I'm just saying. I'm just being devil's advocate here. That normally, like, for instance, the whole Megan Thee Stallion and Tory Lane situation, where all that transpired, and then that would basically serve as a backdrop for like not enough black men protect black women because everybody would drag her name through the mud. Same thing that's happening right now with Saweetie and Quavo. So do you kind of feel like, yeah, like we're talking about, like we don't need general, but society has taught time and time again that deep down it's necessary.
Yeah.
Is that a
I
general
always thought.
problem, or are those guys just psycho? Because like, the patriarchy didn't make Tory Lane shoot her in the foot. I think, like, I think those guys are just like really repressed idiots. I don't know if that's like a commentary on the greater masculine society.
Mm.
I don't think black women or any women are treated any worse than those of any other race. Because like, if we're measuring by how many violent incidents happen per year against a woman of a certain race or ethnicity, I think it's kind of equal in America, more or less. I think that maybe it's not reported in the same numbers, but when it comes to like domestic abuse, it's kind of a human problem. You know what I mean? And if God forbid you look at the statistics of other countries, because like here we actually care about. Other countries, it's like normal, except
Oh yeah,
shooting, not shooting
oh
them.
yeah, for
That's
sure.
normal.
It's just that it's unfortunate that these type of things aren't highlighted. 'Cause whenever it comes out to black people of color, case may be, is always focused on the negative, or not only to focus on negative, but overemphasize on the negative, to make it seem like that's the overwhelming majority. So that's something that tends to happen a whole lot.
I see it as kind of like a greater conspiracy as of demonizing black men and whatnot. Honestly, I don't want to get too deep into that, but like, society is always looking for a new way just to make black men look bad. Like, you have Hollywood feeling, yeah, we need more colored people in movies, and then they're like always the gangsters, or they're always the killer, or they're always the bad guy, or they're always this like weird superhero that just like lives up to white norms or something. You know what I mean? So it's like that's a societal problem.
Right.
Yeah, I know Chadwick Boseman. He turned down roles that portrayed him as like a gangster and stuff like that. He never wanted to do that. That was like one of the clause for like getting a role in a movie or something like that. Nothing that portrayed that outdated black male stereotype.
And we recently did cover something similar. Like, shout out to Naja Alexander. She wrote an article about like how so many black actors are no longer accepted roles that depicts black pain, or like them as a stereotype. So I feel like I'm kind of happy in the sense that we have so many people that represent us. That's like, you know what, I don't want to represent that anymore. I want to tell more uplifting and positive stories rather than overemphasizing on negative stereotypes about the black community. So,
Hey, credit where credit is due. I'm pretty sure Kanye started that conversation.
say again, Kanye West and who?
I think he started that conversation. So credit where credit is due. You remember when Kanye was like, "I'm tired of seeing slave movies. I'm tired of people bringing up slavery and all that."
Yeah,
He is not
yeah.
giving credit, but he is the one who started that conversation.
Kanye never gets credit, but Kanye, he's still like why you wrote that?
I
I'm not
don't
gonna
know.
defend his
Why?
actions. I'm not gonna defend his birthday party platform, even though it's hilarious. But credit where credit is due. He started that conversation, and everyone jumped down his throat for it. And like, my man's has a point, because like, how can you move forward when you're constantly bombarded with all this media telling you that you are still oppressed and that it's your entire existence in this country has just been pain and suffering without like acknowledging your virtues or the great things that have happened? Like, I mean, come on.
Right. Now, before we transition to our last comment, Mara, I know you kind of rolled your eyes a little bit when Kanye West was mentioned. So, do you have any thoughts on Kanye West's?
I don't know if it's Kanye West per se. I mean, I don't know. I feel like Kanye is just like his own different breed. Like, I don't really have any comments to say. I don't really have any comments to say about Kanye West per se. But as far as the conspiracy to destroy Black men, it's definitely a thing. There was actually someone who actually wrote a book and did a series about it called The Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys. It's really good. You guys check it out. But yeah, I feel like the media definitely does portray us in ways that show us as victims. And I think it's mainly because, you know, America's the biggest like commodifier of movies and things like that. And when other people see Black people, they're going to go to the media to, you know, give perceptions about who we are.
Yeah, and it doesn't help that outside races state that what is depicted about us in the media is actually a true representation. Definitely that does us no
Yeah,
favor.
I remember a couple of years back where like any movie that portrayed that was about Black males or the Black culture, it was just like a slavery movie or a civil rights
Right.
era movie or something like that. I can't remember what year it was, but it was just like 3 slavery movies. I think it was around the time 12 Years a Slave came out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I have a
And
Harry
I can't remember the other two. But yeah, it was something about Northrum, Nathan Northrum, I believe his name was, or something like that. But yeah, it was just like a period where there was nothing but slavery movies. So yeah.
If I may chime in, and I'm not gonna give anyone my opinion on this, and I guess I might be canceled if I do. There's this one theory that like Hollywood. Okay, so you know how in a lot of commercials and movies these days you'll have like interracial couples where like one partner's Black, one is white, and you're seeing that more and more and more, even though the demographics say that's not really what's happening. I'm not gonna give my opinion on this, but there's like a theory that Hollywood is pushing this like interracial couple agenda in order to destroy the white or in Black family. Not gonna give my opinion on this, just reporting it. But what do you guys think about that?
I've definitely it is an overwhelming representation of that. Like I'll be looking for like royalty free. I'll look for royalty free images. I'll type in Black couple, and it's nothing but interracial. I'm like, I said Black couple, and even if I say Black couple, even if it's like a Black couple, it'll be like a super light skinned woman with like really loose hair texture with the dark skinned Black man. I feel like Hollywood and the media, the government, they push a lot of agendas on us. Like, and we just eat it up and we think it's a trend because they use their puppets, which are the celebrities and the politicians, to push it on us. And we just start accepting it. And then internally we take it in, and then externally we start doing it. So
yeah. There's another side to that. This is probably going to be left field, but
do it.
It's funny that Amari says that because I was on porn a couple of days ago, and I was looking for ebony porn. You know, like
you are my king. Where's the crown?
And it's funny that Amari says that because you will see these Black males and you would see these light-skinned girls, or you would see these white girls. And I'm like, no, I typed in
that's not what I
Black
said.
on Black.
No, he said what he said. Don't roll back on it. Don't roll back on this. No. Yes.
But it's funny that she says that because I'm like, wait, I was looking on porn a couple of days ago and I was looking for Black on Black. But as you scroll the page, you'll get to like light-skinned girls, or you forget that you're on ebony and it's black males dominating white girls. So it's
How many pages?
yeah,
How
I
many
do
pages
think
do
there's
you
an
have to go
Paid
agenda.
through
more
to
though.
come to that actualization?
What a king! What a king!
They get
So
paid
I
more
just
to
thought,
do interracial, if I'm not mistaken. I've heard that before. They get paid more to do that. Like
oh,
two
okay.
black people, they'll get paid the
Mhm.
least. Like the highest is of course like the white people, and then it's like interracial. Maybe interracial is like above that. But like
White
the
and
pay
Asian,
grade,
probably.
yeah, the pay grade is usually like more leaning towards like interracial, like erotic movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's always like the black male and this light skinned girl, and it's just like
Liddell, I
yeah,
see you
like
there.
I typed on black, and I double checked because gotta
The man
support the
who
black
wants
Double
to
community.
be
check.
a
After
king
that, you
Double
just have
killer.
to
check.
make sure that maybe Pornhub got it wrong. So let me type on black on black.
Let's watch one live. Let's just do it live.
Oh my
Share
god.
screen. Just
But
needs to
yeah,
be
I just thought I should
funny.
mention that because Amari said something about it, and I was like, wow, that's definitely true because
Damn.
like towards the end, I forgot that I was looking at Ebony, and I was like, wait, did I type on interracial? And like, yeah.
Yeah.
Ice cold, man. Ice
You know
cold.
what? We had another topic planned out this, but I feel like it's great to I feel like that's a great way to end this week's episode. So thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing your story. No, I'm just playing. We do have about 5 more minutes to go over. Because speaking of roles, how do you guys feel about doing business with friends? Because Joe Budden, shout out to Joe Budden, shout out to Savon, who works for Joe Budden. He used to be a part of True Culture. Joe Budden has been in the news for the past couple of weeks for all the wrong reasons. Joe Budden, he built up this. For those of you that don't know, Joe Budden, he came up as a rapper during the early 2000s, had a hit on Pump It Up. And then over the course of time, he developed more of a personality in a sense where it seemed like he was always going against the machine because he used to work at Complex with DJ Academics. They had a hit show. Um, that's that New York traffic right there. They had a hit
I
show.
always wonder what happened to that show.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the name of the show, but I can't. Everyday Struggle.
Everyday Struggle.
Everyday Struggle. That was the name.
Oh yeah, that was it.
And Joe Budden, well, he decided that, you know what? Well, obviously, I'm making a lot of money for Complex right now. They do not want to pay. I'm the star of this show, so I'm going to get up out of here. And at the time, he was still on the Joe Budden podcast, and then he was working with his friends Rory and Maul. And over the course of time, they started to become very popular. They got this exclusive deal with Spotify. Joe Budden didn't like the deal over the course of time, so you know what? Fuck Spotify. They got a big time, endorsement deal with Cash App. And then all of a sudden, over the course of time, the conversations on money starts to happen. Rory and Maul wanted to inquire about as far they felt they should be making more than what they were getting. Joe Budden, as the podcast creator, felt that he's the star of this, he's the one that make things go, kind of like how it was an everyday struggle. Okay, after he let that show, the show kind of went on and died a very quick death after that. So it's done. If you check that out there. So basically, how do you guys feel as far working with your friends? Is this
You
something
should
that
never do it. You should never do it.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
no, like businesses everywhere have failed because this was a subject that came up in business school. You should never do it with friends because the internal struggles and the fact that just because they're friends doesn't mean they're good workers or whatever. Like in all honesty, the only time it's ever worked out with doing something with friends. I know this will be crazy, but when it's a political movement, I was just reading a biography on Hitler, and initially he just did it with his friends and old war buddies, and that was probably one of the few instances in history where anything was successful with a group of friends. Probably the most awful fucking example I have. But even then, I think he ended up killing a lot of them on the Day of Long Knives. So that only worked for half a second. So do nothing with your friends. I mean, it was Hitler, dude. What do you expect?
Would you ever partner up with friends that's in the same field as you? Designers for logos, videos, would you ever consider partnering with somebody that's kind of had the same interests as you, or do you much prefer to just do your own thing?
I mean, for me, I'm an introvert, so I prefer to work alone. But it's pretty common in the freelance world for friends and things to like link up and work on a project together and like split the money as they see fit. I think the problem with working with friends, especially in the industry, which we're talking about with like entertainment and stuff like that, the problem comes to where one of the members, they want more power or they want more money. I feel like a lot of friendships get broken up over three things, and that's money, power, and genitals. That goes for like even if like you're with someone, or like let's say you have a friend girl, like the Portia situation. Like you're friends with her, but then you're with her man. Like genitals
Portia
like go
Williams,
better.
right? Portia Williams.
Yeah, Portia Williams.
Real Housewives of Atlanta. Okay.
Yeah. And then with Joe Budden, the thing is obviously like money and power. What I would say about his situation is that when they joined the show, because it's called the Joe Budden podcast, if I'm not mistaken. When they joined on, did they sign on thinking that they were going to be like this full force unit team where none of them were going to be seen as like the front runner? Or did they sign on saying like, okay, Joe is like the star of the show and we're just like the sidekicks? Because the name of the show is the Joe Budden podcast. Anybody that tunes in, like you're going to think, okay, Joe Budden is like the front runner. They didn't come up with like a solid name like the Breakfast Club or like TUC Talk or something like that. So,
right. And I feel like they should have, because it could be very hard when it's your friend, because it's very difficult to have those conversations as far as like paperwork goes, because they didn't really start getting complicated with them until Rory started inquiring about like the financial reports, like as far as like the taxes, like how like where this money is going, like saying like we getting a lot more money from Spotify now, so that must mean a lot of money's coming in. So where's my cut? But in the case of Joe Budden, classic narcissism when you just name the show right after your own self. You know what I mean? It's like being a part of a band. Like let's say for instance, if the Jackson Five was just named Michael Jackson,
right.
and the Jackson Five. Like if beforehand, like the name of the podcast, it didn't have a name. The name of the podcast was "I'll name this podcast later." Then over the course of time, he changed it to the Joe Budden podcast. So I felt the writing was on the wall, but it could definitely be hard to have these conversations with friends. Like God forbid things go south. And we have to get the legal teams involved. Like what's going to happen? Like so, those conversations can be difficult to have.
Mm-hmm.
Dama, where do you stand on that?
I mean, I think I'm willing to give anybody a fair chance. So I don't mind doing business with friends, but you just got to keep an eye open, I believe. And I know it seems wrong to say that for like working with a friend or anything like that, but yeah, when crossing like relationships and businesses, it's always tricky, very tricky. But in terms of Joe Budden's concept, I think he was just being a bitch. That's what I believe it was. I mean, your partner asks to see the books. That's all. Like, what the fuck you hiding?
Right.
So yeah,
nobody
never do.
Feel very defensive. They're hiding something.
You think they're
Yeah,
you
so-
think he's laundering money?
Say again, Kenny?
I wouldn't
You
be
think he's
surprised.
laundering money?
Is it
Like
over money?
laundering? Yeah, like he's moving money through his radio show that he doesn't want in the bank, or at least
I
documented.
wouldn't be surprised. Yeah,
Hmm.
that could be a possibility.
I've never heard it from a radio show or podcast, but like it's common with like laundromats, restaurants, and whatnot. Like all those restaurants that are cash only, they're committing fraud.
It's just that, and by the way, shout out to my boy Savon and his podcast, the Need to Know podcast. But he mentioned something that it seemed like he kind of like was agreeing with Joe in the sense like, all right, if you came up with something like, let's say this is Joe Budden's baby, like he came with this start of the podcast, he funded the podcast, or the case may be, like no matter what the level of the podcast was prior to these people coming in, you feel like, all right, well, I put all the blood and sweat equity into this to make it what it is, and I guess Joe Budden had the name value coming into this, and he felt like this plan, it seems like he put Rory and Mal on the map. And so basically, like, who are these guys coming in that nobody knew about? They come on my platform, and they feel like they're obligated to more. Now, if you guys were in a similar situation, like, how would you handle that? Where you feel like, all right, well, like, I put on all this work to make this happen, and then here you are just coming on board afterwards, and yeah, like, let's say it started to get much better, more people started to follow it. Do you feel like you're obligated to that person? Because it seemed like they felt like Joe Budden was obligated to do more for them.
I don't know if they felt.
I think it's a group. Oh, go ahead.
I don't know if they felt obligated. I just feel like it's like Donovan said. Like, what are you hiding? Like, if you have the money to pay more, why are you not paying more? Like, at the end of the day, you need them. Like Lovely T was saying, like, you don't want to listen to Joe Budden only. Like, they need each other to bounce ideas off of each other. And I feel like even though they're your co-host, whatever you want to call them, if you have the money to pay them, just pay them. Like, I feel like Joe Budden is just an ass. Like, I don't like Joe Budden. Like, he gives me like sketch vibes anyways. Like, I wouldn't trust him with anything.
But it's every relationship he has, whether it's business related or personal, it just always seems to come.
It just falls through, and it seems
like after a while, where it keeps happening over and over again, then maybe you are the problem.
He is the problem. I don't like him.
It's like that Temptations movie when Leon confronts the group, and it's like they're not coming to see you, Otis. They're coming to see the Temptations. And like, ain't nobody coming to see the damn Temptations. So I think that was the mentality that Joe Budden had going into that. Personally, I like Joe Budden's music. Let me correct that. I like the rap group that he was in, Slaughterhouse, because you know that Eminem connection. That's a couple of episodes back for you young bloods. But yeah, so I like the music rap group he was in. In terms of anything else, any name that I see that has to deal with Joe Budden in the music industry that I hope to be in, I hope this doesn't blackball me. But no, I would never do business with Joe Budden at all, 100%. It's not like they asked to like see like Area 51 or something like that. That's like me going into my employer and asking, hey, can I like get my pay stubs just to see what I was paid or anything like that? And I think that's ultimately what they was asking for. And he got really defensive. So it's like, I'm asking just to see the books, my guy. Like, the fuck you hiding? So it's yeah. I personally don't like Joe Budden. I didn't like him ever since he said that Revival was trash. But that's for another podcast.
Who was trash?
Eminem's Revival album.
Oh! I agree, and I never heard it.
All right, that's for another show.
But just to wrap up this discussion, ladies and gentlemen, just like everything that we discuss here, in terms of like with generals, Demi Lovato, whether or not she's the type that likes to play the victim, every answer is subjective. We're not deciding that for you, but also, but I will say this: in the case of working with friends, and that's something that you choose to do, make sure to honestly have those conversations early. As far as like, don't think about where you're at the current level. Think about where you can go, what you can be. So think 5-10 years ahead. You know, so,
and make sure you have a contract that's signed and valid and stuff like that. Just because they're your friends, don't think you could just bypass. Oh, we'll figure it out. Like, we're cool. We'll figure it out down. No, up front, I need a contract. So and so gets paid. Yeah, I need all that.
Yeah. Yes. Make sure your paperwork is in order. For sure. And this is something that we could still go along with our podcast. This is something that we're gonna have to do together as well. So yeah, definitely there must be paperwork, established. That way, everybody cannot say that, oh, I forgot or we never had this conversation. As long as it's on ink, so that's what I'll tell you guys. Make sure that you guys have your paperwork in order if you decide to proceed. Actually, not even just your friends, anybody in general. Make sure that there's paperwork. Okay. So.
Yeah, because you'll be like Michael Jackson in the Jackson 5 being left out in the dust, and Michael Jackson become the biggest musical act since the Beatles. So
I don't know. He had quite the fall. I'm just gonna put that out there. If I were a Jackson, I would have been happy to be one of the other ones.
I mean,
At the height of his
Even
career, let's
Tito.
say that.
I would have preferred to be Tito.
I mean, I don't want to. I don't want to do this, but I don't want to pass up on an easy lob here. Michael Jackson is my favorite artist of all time. I always wear Michael Jackson T-shirts on these shows, but
Another hot take. I don't think he was all that. So we'll just leave that there.
okay, you're wrong. You're wrong, but that's okay. You're wrong. Like how Noel told me in the Kobe debate. Like, okay, you could be wrong. That's fine. That's okay.
I only like 5 songs from him, and they're not the most popular songs. So
you don't like anything that's popular. That's just you. You don't like anything that's popular. But just to bring it home, well, let's say, like, is it just me, or did he become like a bigger star the moment the whole Vita Lago thing happened? We start to look more. We start to look more and more like the majority of the country. I'm just saying like that.
The moment he became a white woman, you mean? Yeah, I can see that.
Okay.
I think he had a skin condition, and he was already going.
It wasn't just that. It was the nose. It was the head. Well, okay, yeah.
Oh my god!
Because for the longest, I thought he did just change his skin complexion. He was like, one day I just want to be white, and I was like, oh, okay, I support that, but I'm not sure how the rest of the black community is going to support that. But yeah, I found out later that he had a skin condition.
Yeah, but it was a no. Did he have a hair condition? Did he have a nose condition? Did
because the next thing you know, he got a perm. He went from an afro, then he went to the Jerry curls, and the next thing you know, he got a perm with long slick back hair. Dude had Peruvian hair. Like,
interesting, very interesting.
All right, guys, that's just about conclude. So, how about we plug ourselves before we get up out of here?
Oh God. Right here. Here I am. Follow this.
Gatanoa Magic. Mr. Donovan Wilkins.
Oh yeah, because a lot of people are saying they having trouble finding my Instagram or whatever. It's right there in the quotations. It's DO.I.
No, it's D.O.N.
Oh damn! I can't even say it myself.
Yeah, I got you. And the ever talented Mr. Mari Anderson.
Yeah, you can just find me on Instagram at imari.anderson. My portfolio is linked, and you can hit me up if you need designs.
Yes, please hit her for the design. She's one of the most talented people I ever came across. That's why I'm glad to continue to have her over here. And everything that you see on all of our podcasts is all thanks to this young woman right here. So definitely hit her for all your needs.
Yeah, please give it up for her.
Yes. Clap it up for her. All right, so once again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry for the technical difficulties. If you made it this far, we had some technical difficulties along the way, but that's why we're not live just yet.
If you made it this far, you need to find
out. You're really rocking. And you made it this far.
Another porn watching king.
OMG.
Look, come on, let's act like we all don't watch porn. Like, come on.
I was talking about regular free images.
Because it came into my head when you said that, I'm like, interracial. I believe I was looking at something like that last night.
Donovan.
Okay.
Donovan, as a content creator, I'm glad that you say whatever comes to your head. And you never feel this point.
I mean, we're all thinking it.
Yeah.
Word.
Of course. But ladies and gentlemen, you guys made it this far. Please give us a like, share this video with your circle. Also subscribe to the channel to help us out with the YouTube algorithms. And stay tuned. As always, same time, same place. We'll catch you guys every Wednesday going forward at 3 p.m. Eastern time with new episodes. And also, before I go, we're also on audio platforms, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio. You can find us there at the TUC Podcast Network. Same as YouTube, TUC Podcast Network. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you guys next week. Peace.